Raving Lunatic Media presents Game Face, hosted by Matt Rukstar and Nico Aiudi. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Game Face, presented by Raving Lunatic Media. I am your host, Matt, and along with me, I got Nico.
How's it going, Matt?
It's going pretty good. I can't complain. This is the first episode of Raving Lunatic Media's resident basketball/sports podcast, hosted by, obviously, me and Nico. And we're going to get a couple things out of the way firsthand. If you don't know about Raving Lunatic Media, we make some amazing products, including the wonderful Cold Case Chase, Zodiac Task Force, Sci-Fi Malady. We have Tales from the Janitor coming up in October, and we're going to have plenty more shows, including this one, coming soon to you. But with all of that out of the way, Nico, we're not journalists by any means, are we?
No, we aren't.
I think we are just more really diehard basketball fans. At least I know I am, and you're just a general big sports guy.
I'm the resident hockey guy, but I do dabble in other things too.
Yes, which makes me happy that we finally got to do this. This has been a product, a year-ish in the making now?
A long time in the making.
Long time in the making. And it's weird because you never actually really realize what your first topic's going to be.
Didn't think it would be this one.
I didn't think it would be this one either, because I thought this man was the loyalist guy in the league. And we're talking Dame Lillard. Damian Lillard, 2 weeks ago requested a trade finally after being with the organization for however many years.
Long time.
He was drafted in 2014, so roughly 10-ish years, I want to say. Actually, it might have been 2013. It was the year Anthony Bennett got drafted. Whatever that year was.
Whenever that was.
Yeah, whenever that was, that's when he got drafted as well. Because I remember I would be really upset because I would never be able to get the first pick to go to the Cavs because it was always freaking Anthony Bennett.
Anthony Bennett, can't miss prospect.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Wait a minute.
So, today we're going to be talking potential Dame trades. We're going to be talking about a little bit of Summer League, and we're going to wrap it up with our first segmented bit called Must or Bust. And then we're going to kind of wrap it all up with a little bit of what's up in other sports. So, Nico, we're going to take it away with our trade talks here in a little segment I like to call Who Says No? Who Says No? In this segment, Nico and I will both come up with trades to present to the other, and we have to answer one simple question. Who says no? If we can't find a team that says no, then we win. So we're going to go trade for trade. I'm going to let Nico go first with his first trade, and we'll kind of go from there. So, Nico, where do you have Dame going, and who's coming back to Portland?
All right, the two trades I did just simple two-team trades. I didn't go fancy like we'll hear about from you a little later. But
I went sicko mode. I went pretty sicko mode.
You did. So my first trade, I've got Dame going to Philly, and going back to Portland, I have James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, and Furkan Korkmaz.
Okay.
Do you say no?
If I am Philly, I'm saying yes immediately. If I am Portland, I get James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, and Furkan Korkmaz. Prospect-wise, if I'm just looking at names, I'm saying yes immediately if I'm Portland. However, based on their team, what their team needs, I don't think James Harden is particularly good for them because they just drafted their future in Scoot. They have Shaedon Sharpe and Anthony Simons there. So I think their guard position in general is kind of covered. However, just flipping pieces like Portland usually does, I'm sure that if you get James Harden, you can get roughly 3 or 4 draft picks back. I'm sure that if you get a player like Tyrese Maxey, which I don't think the Sixers want to give up particularly, but I think you can still get at least a pick and a young, promising guy. And you look at somebody like Korkmaz, who's wanted to be out of the Sixers organization since, 2 years ago now?
And the money works.
Oh, and the money works too.
I think you could flip Harden if Portland wanted to, say, hypothetically, for, say, a good small forward, pair him with Scoot, or keep him, pay him a lot of money.
And y'all know who I always forget is on Portland? Freaking Jeremy Grant, who just signed like a $140 million contract. I think
it was 150.
Was it 150?
It was a lot of money.
It was a bag. Brother is literally 2K generic and got the bag.
They backed up the truck for him.
They really did. That's Dame's guy, though. So, in my honest opinion, I think Portland says no to this. But it's like a very, like, tough no for them, I think. I think we'll switch it up and I'll go next. I'm going to go with my less likely trade. I'm going to go a 3-team trade, Portland, Toronto, and Miami. So, in this trade, Portland is going to be getting Siakam and Precious Achiuwa. Toronto is going to be getting Lowry, Hero, and picks, most likely from Miami. And then Miami is going to be getting Dame and Otto Porter Jr. Who says no in this trade?
I don't know. It looks pretty good, but I don't know how interested Toronto would be in Lowry and Hero. I mean, Tyler Hero, obviously, but Kyle Lowry is kind of old. Been there before. He did win him a championship. Wait, did he?
Yes, he was with them. He didn't win them the championship. Kawhi did.
Kawhi won the championship, but he was on the team.
Yeah. Bring Lowry back, though, as the GOAT. And I think what Toronto really is hauling in this trade is the picks.
Yeah.
Because they basically have a younger version of Tyler Hero right now in Grady Dick, so...
And he's your favorite player who came out of the draft, but more on him later.
More on him later, yeah. I love Grady Dick, but holy cow.
I think Portland wins out in this trade, getting Pascal Siakam. I think he might be the big haul in here.
I think so too. The only trouble that I saw with this trade is they literally have Siakam light in Jeremy Grant. They are the exact same player, and I don't think you can convince me otherwise.
Are you calling Pascal Siakam 2K generic?
Yeah, because I kind of forget about him a lot. Raptors fans are not going to like me after this one, even though I'm like a closeted Raptors fan.
I got you a hat when I was in Toronto.
That is true, and I'm also a big Marc Gasol fan, and when he went there, I was very happy. It's like, if any team gets him, I'm glad it's Toronto, and they win the chip for him. But who says no in this trade, do you think?
If I had to pick one, I'd say Toronto.
Yeah. Toronto, like I said before, this one isn't as strong as my other one. And my other one, I feel like if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be very genuinely upset. But this one, I wouldn't be mad. I think Toronto in this one, getting Hero and getting Lowry more as a like, okay, let's bring back the GOAT. Let's kind of give him a proper send-off the way we should have given him a proper send-off. Unlike how they actually did it 2 years ago when they just went, all right, bye. I think that would be a proper send-off for them. And then Hero just kind of being like a mentor to Grady Dick. I don't think that's far off from what the Raptors might do, but I think it's just far enough for me to be like, kind of a stretch. Like I said, the picks are where they probably would want everything.
And they could also put Tyler Hero in the starting lineup. Unless that's, not allowed.
A Dick Hero lineup. I don't have to bleep that out, I swear. All right, let's hear your next trade.
All right, my next one, again, another 2-team trade. Dame goes to the New York Knicks for Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, and picks. Again, probably first rounders or, those rando second rounders.
Yeah.
But what do you think about that one?
I think that every player just kind of gets linked to 2 teams, and that's usually the Celtics and the Knicks. Like, I don't think there's ever been a superstar who's been like, all right, this superstar, they want to trade, or like they could be signed somewhere, and there hasn't been a Knicks or Celtics like link somehow. I don't mind this trade. I feel like Portland would probably say no. Like I said before, they kind of have this young core guard stuff set up for the future. So bringing in a player like Jalen Brunson probably stunts the growth of Scoot and Shaden, as well as Anthony Simons a lot. And RJ Barrett, I think, even though a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, RJ Barrett with Ja and Zion with their off-court problems, I guess he's the best pick of the 2019 draft. I still would say probably no to that because he's just so wildly inconsistent and just doesn't have a major skill set. And
I remember when he was at Duke, he was like the dude on that team. Everyone hyped him up so much. It's like it was Zion's team, but RJ Barrett, he's like the dude.
Yeah, he was like the 1B option on that team. And kind of like how I feel with Zion, like I just feel like those guys didn't live up to everything that they could have been. And they're still young in their careers. RJ Barrett could be like the next Andrew Wiggins for all we know, where like later in his career kind of revives it, but I still feel like he's not there yet.
I think that's a good comparable for him, actually.
I actually really like that comparison. And I'm pretty sure both of them are Canadian too, so
I think they are.
I know Wiggins is not 100% on RJ, but I feel like RJ's Canadian. That just makes sense to me, right?
It does make sense.
All right. And then for my last trade, like I said earlier, I think that this is the trade that should happen.
I really like this one.
And I really, really, really like this one. And I've talked to a lot of people about this one. And if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be very genuinely upset because I think every team wins in this trade. So in this trade, it's Portland, Miami, and Minnesota. Portland will get Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Minott, and picks. Miami will get Dame, and Minnesota will get Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. So hear me out on this one, okay? Portland is in desperate need of an actual big man. No offense to Yusef Nurkic. But
the Nurk man.
The Nurk. But he's not doing much down low. Like, he's not like a very threatening presence down there where Dame always never had a go-to big man. Like, I wish him and Aldridge got to play together in their primes because that would have been just such a nasty combo. I said, it would just be such a cool combo with Cat and Scoot. I think Cat could come in and be second fiddle to Scoot, which would be nice. Josh Minott, just to make kind of contracts work. I think he was just a no-name player from the Wolves that I was like, all right, just throw him in to make contracts work. And Portland getting those much-needed picks because they've just been meddling for so long. I think those picks would most likely come from Miami because I feel like they would probably want those ones the most. Dame gets to go where he wants to go in Miami. You even have his agent coming out and saying stuff like, if you're not Miami, don't trade or else Dame's not showing up.
Yeah, everybody knows who wants to go to Miami. I literally got a notification as we were recording about the NBA not being happy with Dame and his agent.
And then and then Minnesota getting Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. So this is where I think this works. So Minnesota, I'm a very big closeted Minnesota fan. I have been for a long time.
They've been our team that's 2 years away for about 7 years now.
Yeah, they've always just been one piece away. And I think you subtract Cat from this, give the keys to Ant. And if you can have a starting lineup of Mike Conley, Tyler Hero, Ant, Naz Reid, and then Rudy Gobert at the 5, that's a nasty combo with Duncan Robinson coming off the bench. That's just such a nasty combo, that I could totally see working out and maybe them going pretty far in the West. I still don't think they beat teams like the Nuggets or the Grizzlies, but I still think that they will go pretty far. So those are our trades, but who do you think anybody in this trade particularly says no?
I think out of the 4, this one definitely is the strongest. The only hiccup I could see would be Minnesota, even though they get 2 good dudes, good shooters in Hero and Robinson. It's just a little bit weaker, and Miami getting Dame, big name. Portland getting Cat, big name, and possibly, picks and stuff like that. Minnesota doesn't really have anything like that, even though their pieces are nice. It could be a hiccup, but I could see this trade working out.
My brain is going more into addition by subtraction. If you get Cat's ego out of there and bring in 2 players who are already yep, we are not the main guy on this team and we know it. Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson kind of playing that backup to Jimmy Butler their entire careers at this point. I think that's just very important for them. And subtracting Cat's ego, so that addition by subtraction I think really works out. And I think Minnesota, if they just look at that and they take a step back and really don't think about, oh man, we're giving up Cat, I think it would work out.
And that way you kind of give the big man keys over to Rudy Gobert, and we all know that didn't work out all too well.
Yeah, I think it would be Utah 2.0 in Minnesota. But hey, at least Utah made the playoffs every year. So unlike some other team I know. But yeah, I think that one's the strongest. I honestly give a lot of props to that Portland-Philly trade too. But like we said, Dame's not going anywhere besides Miami.
Yeah, everybody knows he's going to Miami.
Yeah. And I don't know why he has just such this infatuation with Miami. But
nice city.
Yeah. I just don't understand his infatuation. Really don't. But we're going to end off this A block. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back to start discussing the Summer League.
From the showrunners who brought you Zodiac Task Force, The Casatorial, and Why You Should, comes the almost ultimate spectacle in action podcasting. Sci-Fi Malady, an elite group of nobodies armed with nitpicky opinions that can rival anything on YouTube. The mission, to review science fiction and complain about most of it.
How come most of the stuff we watch sucks?
Sci-Fi Malady.
Mulder can get beat up by anyone.
Sci-Fi Malady.
You know what? I cannot let this go. Bombers in space doesn't make sense.
Sci-Fi Malady. The action sci-fi drama podcast from Raving Lunatic Media.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for Talk About the Summer League. We're going to go first with some Summer League standouts, but I want to ask you a quick question. How much Summer League did you consume?
So I consumed probably 5 or 6 games, and this weird thing happened this year. Of those 5 or whatever games I watched, about 4 or 5 of them were the Charlotte Hornets, just every time.
So you got to see a lot of Brandon Miller.
A lot of Brandon Miller, a lot of James Bouknight.
Oh, we'll probably talk about them in a little bit. I watched maybe 3 or 4 games, and the first 2 games I watched were both the Wemby games, like his first game and then his second game. And then I watched Scoot's first game. So those were the really good ones in my brain. I know that a couple of people really popped off, so we're gonna play a little game called Summer League Standouts. So I'm gonna ask you a question, you're gonna answer it, and then I'll also answer it. So my first question is, what player are you excited to see after watching them play at Summer League?
Obviously, Scoot Henderson. He looks like a really good player. He's snappy, quick, bouncy, got a good shot. He can play make a little bit. I'm really excited to see him this upcoming season.
100%, especially if Dame's not there anymore and he kind of has free reign over the Trailblazers. I think that's very, very, very important for him.
And maybe with a guy like Cat in the middle, who knows?
I hope. I think for me, one of the players that really stood out for me was Keegan Murray. For the Kings, like, they put him in for 2 games. I saw some of the highlights from it, and dude was just knocking down threes, having a great summer league. And then you kind of really saw the Kings front office go, oh, we have somebody on our hands who could potentially be like our third star. Like, after Fox and after Sabonis, like, they need that third guy that they thought like Harrison Barnes would be. Like, but obviously he's not really working out, and you have some amazing role players on that team too. So I think definitely getting Keegan Murray kind of some run, I think, is really, really good. Who else is really standing out for you?
So a team who's really near and dear to my heart, the Boston Celtics. I got to see a lot of Jordan Walsh, and I had no idea who he was when they drafted him, or I guess traded for him. But he looks pretty good. He's a little Marcus Smarty, if you know what I mean, who, with a 3-shot already. He's got that defensive presence, and I don't know, I kind of like him. I think he may be a good snag in the second round.
I can totally see that. That's not the guy that we drafted for you, right?
No, you took that guy in the first round, and I think you traded him again.
Oh, maybe. I have no clue. I do not keep up a lot with the draft. Like, I keep up just enough with it to know who the Grizzlies pick, and then I just don't pay attention.
You were eating watermelon for the entire first round.
I ate so much watermelon.
That watermelon was really, really good.
It was amazing. I just sat down and I told Nico, I was like, I'm hungry. And Nico goes, I got watermelon. You want some of that? And I said, sure. He hands me an entire bucket of watermelon. I just downed it with it. By the end of the first round, it was gone.
Just gone.
Just straight up gone. I was like, oh, well, I guess that's okay. I think another guy, you said Scoot earlier. I'm going to go with Brandon Miller as well. And David Roddy. Big body David Roddy was really just going off like the entire summer league, like really gave me a lot of confidence in his game as a Grizzlies fan, like just watching him and being able to go, okay, we got somebody who's like potential, like off the charts. I mean, dude scored what? I think it was like 42 points or no, that was Kenny Lofton. Kenny Lofton scored like
Junior.
42 points. Him as well. Like, I think the Grizzlies, like young bucks, are really coming up, which is nice.
Yeah, they are.
So kind of moving on. So some players that maybe didn't do amazing this summer league, but you still think can have a good impact on their team when they actually get onto the floor for a regular season game. Who do you think that would be?
I'm going to go with Victor Wembanyama. He had a pretty terrible first game, but his second game was a lot better. I think he had a double-double in that game. I'm a little higher on Wemby than you are, but...
You are way higher than Wemby than I am. I'm the resident Wemby hater. I think the man's ceiling is maybe Kristaps. I think he's just a glorified Kristaps, and I get this way with literally every like tall, skinny guy that they say is the next big thing. Because look at where it's gotten every other tall, skinny guy. Like
it got Porzingis like $60 million from the Celtics.
Exactly. You have players like I think the best example of like 7-footer who's super skinny who has like the play set of a guard. Like you get somebody like Kevin Durant. But that's like generational, like once every blue moon. And I look at Wemby and I'm like, nope, I don't think that's it. I'm no talent scout or anything. But if Wemby by year 4 is like averaging like 6 points a game, don't come crawling back to me. And if he's averaging 30 points a game by the end of this year, I will eat my words. It's the same thing with like players like Chet Holmgren, even Jaren Jackson. Like Jaren Jackson, I think is an amazing player, but I still have my worries about him because he's just that tall, skinny unicorn type, just like Porzingis was, just like every other player, just like him.
Now, what if Wemby didn't go to San Antonio? Would you still have your same feelings about him if he didn't get drafted to your team's arch rival?
Yes, I think I still would. I don't think it would be as prevalent, though.
It just doesn't help.
Yeah, it doesn't help that he's a Spur. And that I'll have to watch him play like 4 times this year. But kind of moving into this next one, we didn't really talk too much about players on the court who we think might improve during the regular season, but we're already talking negative. So let's talk about some of the summer league strugglers. Who had a bad summer league?
So, since I'm kind of a Charlotte Hornet expert now, I'm going to say James Bouknight, which breaks my heart to say as a UConn fan, but this was kind of a prove-it summer league for him. I think it's a big prove-it year for James Bouknight, but I would really love to see him have a strong regular season, but he just didn't have the greatest summer league. He had a couple good games. He popped off like one game, but a whole lot of kind of middling games.
Yeah, kind of mixing this question with the last question. I think Grady Dick didn't have an amazing summer league, but I think I can already see his greatness coming onto the court. I think that him and Schroeder are going to be a deadly backcourt for no reason in the East. I think they'll give like teams like the Celtics a lot of struggles because they're just 2 quick, lanky guys. Like, could you imagine like just the long dick, sorry, the long arms of Dick, just kind of being able to steal the ball from shorter guys like Peyton Pritchard. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's going to be your starting point guard this year if it's not Malcolm Brogdon.
Nah, it's going to be Brogdon.
Yeah. We'll talk about Brogdon a little bit later, I guess. But I think that Grady Dick is one of those players for me where, like, I think he didn't have an amazing summer league, but I can definitely see the greatness that he will have eventually. Like I said, Tyler Hero light.
I think you're the conductor. I think you're the conductor of the Grady Dick hype train. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I am definitely choo-chooing that dick. I'm not bleeping any of this out. This is just going to stay how it is.
You were so happy when they drafted him that night.
Oh my goodness. Dude had the Kansas, not Mary Poppins. What's the movie? I'm trying to think of. Wizard of Oz. He had the Wizard of Oz suit on where it was all red and sparkly like Dorothy's shoes. Yep. And you were like, I hate his get up. And I was like, no,
it's like, that's awesome. My new favorite player.
I love him. And then kind of ending this off, this segment off, who do you think made the biggest mistake in the draft this year?
The same team that had the biggest decision to make in the draft. I think they just made the wrong one in the Charlotte Hornets, drafting Brandon Miller over Scoot Henderson. Like I said, I think Scoot's going to be the real deal. Not that Brandon Miller can't be a good player. I just personally like Scoot better.
Yeah, I am definitely more of a Scoot fan. I don't think that the Hornets necessarily made the wrong decision. I also am not going to say that they made the correct decision either. Because if you have to look at Brandon Miller versus Scoot Henderson, I think 9 times out of 10 you're taking Scoot unless you're really in the decision of like what the Hornets had this year, where they already have a generational talent in LaMelo.
That's true.
So like I could definitely see it, but I'm not a huge fan of their pick this year either. I think for me, I'm gonna say every single team that didn't draft Cam Whitmore. Dude slid down to number 20 to the Rockets, and he just like balled out in Summer League. I'm pretty sure he averaged like 18 points in Summer League this year, which is insane.
That's
like,
a lot of points.
Like, especially for like a rookie who was said like, oh, we don't really know about his skill set. We don't know about his off-court stuff and everything like that. I think that every single team who did not draft Cam Whitmore is kind of kicking themselves right now. Like, oh, we should have taken him at like 16. The Lakers definitely, when they drafted, what's his name? Hood Schifino?
Yeah.
And they could have had somebody like Cam Whitmore who really has that dog in him, you know?
One player I do like from that area, the first round, is the guy the Warriors took, who looks exactly like Jack Harlow.
I don't like. I can't even. How do you say this last name? Podzimski. Like you can't even say his last name. Just call the man Jack Harlow at this point.
Looks like Brandon Podzimski.
Brandon Podzimski. Yeah, however you say that. But
AK Jack Harlow.
Yeah, but y'all know what Jack Harlow would say right about now?
What?
I think it's time for the C block. But the C block's going to happen right after these messages. We'll be right back. Howdy, my name is Libra. I'm the fourth wall breaking, charming, handsome, and awesome comic relief character on Zodiac Task Force, a show here on Raven Lunatic Media.
Hi, my name is Fayeurium, and I'm the other fourth wall breaking, charming, handsome, and awesome comic relief character on Zodiac Task Force, a show here on Raving Lunatic Media.
You know, we haven't really gotten to interact on the show. You seem like a legit dude.
You know, we really haven't interacted. And the best part about the ad universe is no one can fact check us unless they watch the show.
Sounds like a win-win to me. Now that I'm getting a closer look at you, you're a pretty good-looking dude.
You're not too bad yourself, Argon. The showrunners really got you right when they made you. I could get lost for days in those eyes. Wake up, Irium.
Well, bless your heart. If you want more of this handsomeness, then you can go check out Zodiac Task Force wherever you listen to podcasts.
How are they going to see how handsome we are if they can only listen to the show?
Our silky voices, silly. That's how you hook them.
You're right. Go listen now. Our silly voices await.
Silly? No. I said silky. No, we can't end like that. Give us another take. You're all a bunch of glorebags. All right, it's time for our C block. You ready, Nico?
I'm ready.
So in this C block, we're having our first little segment, actually, like full segment, called Must or Bust.
Must or bust.
In this segment, Nico and I are going to take a look back at a draft and essentially redraft the lottery now that those players have had some time to develop. And are those players still musts or are they busts? And today we're taking a look at a draft that is pretty topical right now, the 2016 draft, because of one man who just got paid way too much money to not be able to dribble.
The bag.
If you don't know who we're talking about Jaylen Brown, who recently just signed for way too much money.
He's making, I think, $60 million a year.
That's insane for me.
Biggest contract in NBA history.
Yeah. I remember when Mike Conley was the biggest contract in NBA history, and it was like 125 mil.
I remember that too. That's back when you were the conductor of the Mike Conley hype train.
I still am. I love Mike Conley. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to go through the 2016 draft, just the first 14 picks. I'm going to say who has the pick and who got drafted, and then we're going to redraft the pick, and we'll kind of just do that. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, so first up, we have the Philadelphia 76ers, who originally selected Ben Simmons with the first pick. Now, I don't think that was a terrible pick at the time. I mean, Ben Simmons still had an amazing prime of 5 or 6 years until he just kind of decided to not play basketball anymore after he just didn't shoot a layup and instead passed the ball. So I'm going to let you go first. Who do you think? I see here that we both have the same player, though. So who do you think should have gone first?
Well, looking back on it, they definitely should have taken Jamal Murray. I mean, that's kind of easy to say. He just won a championship. And looking back on it, he's probably the best player in this draft.
Yeah, I was looking at this draft the other day at work because I do all of my best podcasting prep at work.
I won't tell nobody.
Yeah. Don't tell my boss, please. And I just looked down this draft and went, nobody's outclassing Murray in this. He had the bubble year where him and Donovan Mitchell went basically shot for shot. And then they just had the time period where he was injured and then just amazing comeback story last year was just fantastic. And then obviously winning the championship this year.
Yeah, I really tried to put Jaylen Brown first, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah, and I think right here is kind of where we split a little bit. Or no.
No, we have the
same top three.
We have the same top four.
Oh, do we? Okay, good. So the second pick going to the Los Angeles Lakers. They originally selected Brandon Ingram, but we are changing it to who?
I got mine as Jaylen Brown.
Same here. The man who just got the $60 million a year bag for no reason. Man can't dribble to save his life.
He can shoot.
Yeah, man can shoot and go to Harvard for all I care, but can't dribble and drive, you know? I don't think we'll stay too long on that pick just for time's sake. But pick number 3 goes to Boston, and we both have the same pick going to Boston here, which is who?
Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah, the Ox. I think he's proven year after year just how dominant and amazing he can be, and I think the Celtics really need somebody who can lock down the paint, whose name isn't Robert Williams.
Or Porzingis.
Or now Porzingis. Yeah, they finally got somebody who's above 6'5", so I think the Celtics are going to do fine, but I think that they would have done even better if they had drafted another white guy, you know?
And thinking back then, they still had... I think they got Kyrie right after this draft, so you could have had a tandem of Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, and Sabonis. Actually, they got Kyrie the next year. I was wrong, but still.
I mean, just kind of thinking about it, that would have been the whitest team in the league, which the Celtics usually are, but... Going to pick number 4, originally going to the Phoenix Suns was Dragon Bender.
I remember Dragon Bender.
I remember him too. I remember when we were both super high on Dragon Bender. Have I shown you the pictures of when Kevin Durant got traded to the Suns and everybody just took their old Dragon Bender jerseys and turned it into Kevin Durant?
I've been thinking about that for 3 days nonstop every time I look at this draft.
Exactly. So the fourth pick, where we kind of still stay the same here. Who do we have going to Phoenix?
Got B.I. going to Phoenix.
B.I. is going to Phoenix. I think that would have been a nasty combo. Just the offensive talent of him and Booker would have been fantastic together. And I think at that point, who did they have at point guard? Did they still have Eric Bledsoe?
Well, I'm not sure.
I think they may have still had Eric Bledsoe at that point. That sounds familiar.
That sounds right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think just that offensive power would have been great. I think team needs as well, just getting him. I think TJ Warren may have still been there too, so that would have been a nasty combo. But now we have going to Minnesota at number 5. This is where we kind of split up. I'll let you go first. Who do you have going to Minnesota?
So going to Minnesota, I've got Pascal Siakam.
Okay. I personally had DeJounte Murray going here to Minnesota.
You spelled DeJounte wrong.
No, that is actually how you spell it.
No, it's not. Mine's spelled right.
Is yours spelled right?
I looked it up.
Dang it. I don't know how to spell DeJounte.
I don't either, but...
Sorry, Mr. Murray. But I had DeJounte going there. You had Siakam going there. I think they're very similar skill sets. I said earlier in the pod that I think Siakam is very forgotten. I love Siakam, but like he's just very a generic player for me, like generic power forward build for me. And I think Murray just brings that defensive intensity now that he's not on the Spurs. I can say that. However, very injury prone early in his career too. Siakam wasn't, so I can definitely see the toss up there. They originally took Chris Dunn, by the way.
I remember Chris Dunn. I was kind of mad we didn't get Chris Dunn.
I feel like he's on the Bulls right now. That seems right.
Was.
That seems about right. Going on to the 6th pick, the New Orleans Pelicans originally selected Buddy Hield. Don't know why they didn't keep him. I think that was the DeMarcus Cousins trade, actually.
I think it was.
That sounds very familiar, actually. So with the 6th pick, who do you have going?
That's where I got Big Ben going.
Ben Simmons?
Ben Simmons.
I also have Ben Simmons going to the Pelicans. A lot of people are going to say, oh, but he can't play basketball. But if you remember those first 6 years...
I was scared every time we had to play Philly. Simmons, Embiid, it was nasty.
Just pair him up with Anthony Davis, who is way more of a defensive presence than especially in these years, than Embiid was.
Pair him where on the bench?
Anthony Davis and Ben Simmons.
Maybe not.
Like I said, 2016, 2017, that would have been a nasty combo. Anytime after 2020, though, maybe not.
Not so good.
Yeah. But originally, like I said, had Buddy Hield going there. Great shooter. They should have kept him. Next up, we have Denver. This was the Jamal Murray pick, the original Jamal Murray pick. But who do you have going to Denver?
I've got Denver taking DeJounte Murray there.
All right, so we kind of just switched because I had Siakam going there. I think that Siakam, if you look at it, I think it would have paired really well. I think Nurkic was there at that point, and I feel like Jokic wasn't there. I think Jokic was 2017. I don't exactly remember.
I don't remember.
Jokic just feels like one of those guys who's been there kind of forever. Just like he was like riding the bench, and then one day he was just like, I'm going to be good now. What year was he drafted?
I'm looking at it. He was drafted in 2014.
Okay, so he was there by then.
So he was already there.
So him and Nurk were there by then, and you can definitely see Siakam sliding in there really well. Almost like an Aaron Gordon type of player, but like maybe a bit better. As well as DeJounte Murray, I think, like replacing the other Murray with this Murray.
Just not as good of a Murray.
Yeah, I think more defensively than anything, and Jokic kind of already has that set down the middle, so I think that's an okay pick for both of them. I don't think that necessarily they got this one wrong. I think Denver, out of all these other teams, I think Denver made the right choice. Next up, though, Sacramento.
Sacramento's taken Malcolm Brogdon. 6th man of the year, Malcolm Brogdon.
All right. I have them taking Buddy Hield, where he actually eventually ended up. Buddy Hield has played, I believe, the most games out of anybody in this draft, as well as Buddy Hield is the best 3-point shooter in this draft. So I think sending him to the Kings, like, this is in no offense to, who did you have going here? Malcolm Brogdon. This is no offense to Malcolm Brogdon, who was eventually a 2nd round pick and won Rookie of the Year. I think that the Kings, I think that they just deserve Buddy Hield, and they just deserve to have the threes rain down.
And you can't really fault him for not taking a guy like Brogdon who went into the 2nd round. I mean, you're not going to have a guy come from the 2nd round and go top 10.
Exactly. But yeah, I could definitely see either one of these players kind of staying at 8, roughly around there. Number 9 was Toronto's pick, and they ended up picking who they eventually re-signed in Jakob Poeltl.
Your favorite big man in the league.
Exactly. My favorite person to stand underneath the rim in the league, especially when Ja has the ball. Who do you have going to Toronto?
That's where I got Buddy Hield going.
That's where you got Buddy Hield going? Okay. I looked at this and I went, okay, team needs. The Raptors need literally just shooting. So since they couldn't take Buddy Hield because I sent Buddy Hield to Sacramento, I said, all right, the next best 3-point shooter, Malik Threesley.
Awesome nickname.
Awesome nickname. I don't know if people actually call him that, but I definitely do.
In
Malik
my mind,
Threesley.
that's his name. Every time we play 2K and you have Beasley.
Malik Threesley. I think Beasley, second best shooter in this draft, definitely. You know what? I might take that back.
Yeah, it's not
Jamal Murray. Maybe he's a top 3 definitely in this draft. But I'm sending him to Toronto to pair up with. I think DeRozan and Lowry were still there at this point.
Yep, they were there.
So LeBronto welcomes Threesley or Buddy Hield, either one. But next up, at the 10th pick, Milwaukee takes who they thought was going to turn into Giannis Antetokounmpo and Thon Maker. I remember this pick like it was yesterday, and I was so high on Thon Maker. Now I don't even know if he plays basketball.
I don't think he does. I went through a lot of guys' basketball reference and a whole lot of dudes. It's like, oh yeah, 2017, 2018 was the last time they played in the league.
Yeah. Who do you have going to Milwaukee at number 10?
Milwaukee number 10, that's where I got Threesley going.
Okay. I could definitely, I like that pick. I have a guy that they pick in the second round, Malcolm Brogdon. So the Brogger Dogger eventually won Rookie of the Year, I believe, with these guys, with the Bucks. So I could definitely see them just taking him a bit higher and just being like, all right, let's just get this over with. We'll pick him in the first round. Nobody else can have him. Especially because their team was so young at this point. Like, Giannis wasn't the freak yet. Like, unless you count him kicking somebody in the face. I forget who that was. I think it was Mike Dunleavy. That sounds about right, but I think that either one of those picks can definitely go there. Something I'm definitely noticing, a lot of busts in this draft.
There's a lot of, but I remember this draft so well. It's like, oh, this guy's going to be great. This guy's going to be great. And then maybe half of them worked out. And
it seems like a lot of the players who like turned out to be good were traded like year 1 or draft night.
Yeah.
Like the next pick, Orlando picks Domantas Sabonis at number 11.
Awesome pick.
Amazing pick for them, but they traded him away. So who do you have going to Orlando?
That's where I got the man I associate with the Brooklyn Nets more than any other team, Karis LeVert.
Okay, I could definitely see that. I think, is he still on the Cavs?
So. Oh.
I think he's on the Cavs. He might have gone somewhere else there. But I have not kept up with Karis LeVert in a long time. I feel like he's either a Cav or maybe he's a Laker for some weird reason. No, Cam Reddish is a Laker. That's who's a Laker. I have Jakob Poeltl going to Orlando. I think it just fits who they usually draft. Like,
big men?
Big guy, lanky, white. That's actually very untrue, that last part. But I could definitely see, like, Jakob Poeltl just in the blue pinstripes, you know? But moving on to number 12, Utah, Taurean Prince. Who do you have at your 12th pick?
This is where I've got Jakob Poeltl going.
I could also see this. Utah does like their big white boys. Look at any of their centers.
Look at Sabonis now.
Yeah, exactly. But with Utah, I had Ivica Zubac, another big lanky white guy. Zubac gets way overlooked, by the way, in my opinion. I think that he's just an outstanding player.
I think he gets overrated and overlooked. Like, you don't hear about him for a while, and then he gets 30 rebounds in a game. It's like, oh, Zubac, he's going to be awesome. And then he, like, disappears again.
Yeah, his biggest fault is currently playing for the Clippers. So I can't... If he was literally on any other team that was, like, semi-decent, like...
Like the Lakers with LeBron?
Yeah, he could have been there.
He was there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, that's why I said he could have been there still. Yeah. But yeah, I think Ivica would fit Utah pretty well. Next up, number 13, the Phoenix Suns picked Get ready for this name, Georgios Papagiannis.
I think they were trying to get Giannis 2.0.
They probably were. Either that or they were like, I see this guy's name in 2K all the time. Let's draft him.
I'm kind of getting hungry for pizza here in Papa.
Yeah, exactly. Who do you have going to Phoenix?
I literally just flipped them. I've got Zubats going here.
Okay, I could definitely see that. I have Karis LeVert going to Phoenix with this pick. Pair with Brandon Ingram, pair with Devin Booker. I think that would be a nice pick. Eventually pairing all three of those guys with DeAndre Ayton, I think would be a nasty combo. Mikal Bridges, too. Oh, that would be such a nasty combo.
A young D-Book.
Exactly. And then with the last pick, Chicago picked Denzel Valentine. Denzel, from far out, what are you even doing?
And I believe he's currently sitting on our G League team.
Yeah, probably. He's on the Maine Lobsters. But who do you have going last in this draft? Actually, we both have the same person.
Same player.
Go for it.
I'm going to let you pronounce his first name.
Torian.
Torian Prince.
So, Torian Prince going 14th overall. This was not a deep draft.
No, not really. It's very top heavy.
Outside of the lottery, nobody else. Like, if I had to pick another person in this draft, I feel like it would have been like a weird no-name, like Wade Baldwin. I would have been like, yeah, I guess him. He played 3 years, I think.
Also, can we point out the Phoenix Suns could not draft this year? They could have gotten dudes like Brandon Ingram or Zubats. Instead, they take freaking Dragon Bender and Papagiannis.
Yeah, like you look at some of the names that were picked after. Like Phoenix had the 4th pick and they picked Dragon Bender. 2 picks later was Buddy Hield. 3 picks was Jamal Murray. They could have had Jakob Poeltl. They could have had Sabonis. They could have had Torian. They could have had so many other players, but they just didn't pick correctly. And then they obviously pick the other no-name, Georgios Papagiannis.
I mean, it is a cool name.
It is a sick name, but just not it. So what do you guys think at home here? Who really was a must in this draft? Who was a bust in this draft? Next time we'll probably be covering the 2017 draft, which is a little bit more closer to your heart because your star player got drafted there. But we're going to be right back. And when we come back, we got the D block with Nico. Let's rein him on in. Hey friends, my name's Rukstar, editor-in-chief of Raving Lunatic Media. I'm here to talk to you today about ads. Whoa, Rukstar. Ads? Are you guys like selling out finally? No, dear viewer. We are just going to be showing our support to the amazing shows here on Raving Lunatic Media, like Sci-Fi Malady, Zodiac Task Force, Why You Should, and the backlogs of the Casatorium, with more to come out in the next calendar year. If you want these shows without these annoying breaks in the middle, you can follow the link in any of the bios of the shows or on our Discord, Raving Lunatic Media. You'll be brought to a subscription page which will help support your favorite creators, us. Enjoy the show and stay crazy, lunatics. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Game Face. Now it's time for our final segment here, the D Block, aka What's Up in Other Sports, Nico. I'm going to let you take it here, and I'm going to kind of sit back and listen to what's happening around the national horn.
All right, so Patrice Bergeron announced his retirement. At the end of the year, everybody kind of knew he was going to retire. I personally didn't think he was going to retire. I hoped he wasn't going to retire, but he did. He won an NHL record 6 Selke trophies as the best defensive forward in the NHL and 1 Stanley Cup in his 19-year career with the Boston Bruins. So I'm wondering now, who gets to be the captain of the Bruins? Matt, can you name me a single player on the Boston Bruins?
Hold on. Pasta guy. Pastovich.
David Pastrnak.
Pastrnak, thank you. My brain immediately went Austin Matthews, and I was like,
Sound like you're trying to say Greg Popovich.
Greg Pastovich.
Maybe that's his dad. So I think Pasta should get the C, or Brad Marchand, but he's got a bit too much of a bad rap around the league for that. And on to the other end of the spectrum, Logan Cooley, who was the 3rd overall pick in the 2022 draft, signed his entry-level contract with the Arizona Coyotes. Instead of going back to the University of Minnesota to make a two-headed college monster with Cole Iserman, who is a top prospect for next year's draft. I really wanted to fly out to see these guys, but looks like if I go, I'm only going to get to see Iserman.
Oh, over in Minnesota, I'd come with you. I love Minnesota. Like, very genuinely want to go to Minnesota like this winter.
It'll be really cold over there.
I don't care. I'll go. I have people I can stay with.
What about me?
You can sleep in the snow.
Dang it. I mean, I love the snow.
Me too, but you won't catch me sleeping in it all too often.
All right, and some bad news out of the Cincinnati Bengals training camp. Star quarterback Joe Burrow was carted off the field with a strained calf, and the team said he'll be out for several weeks. Don't really know a whole lot about it yet, but hopefully Joey franchise will be all right soon.
Yeah, that sounds pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's did you hear all the stuff about Bronny? That
I
happened?
did. That's scary.
Like, man just has like a heart condition or whatever, that's very scary. Like, and I know I'm kind of reeling it back into basketball here, but like, holy cow! Like, I'm not upset we didn't talk about that because I think everybody's kind of talking about it, but I think we should at least briefly mention it.
And it looks like the Shohei Ohtani trade rumors were just rumors after all, after LA said he wasn't on the trading block, and then the team backed up that statement by trading for pitcher Lucas Giolito. In his first game since the news, he pitched a one-hitter in the first game of a doubleheader and hit 2 home runs in the second. He is still a free agent after the season, though, and could quite possibly get the first $600 million contract in MLB history.
I love Ohtani for no reason. Like, I've seen his New Balance commercial like 17
That's
times
a cool
now.
Commercial.
Where like New Balance just has like all of these like new athletes that are just like covered for them, and I think Ohtani deserves a shoe. I think get Ohtani a signature cleat.
I know Mike Trout has his own. I'm not all too familiar on MLB shoes though.
Yeah, I don't think that's like a big thing.
I don't think that's a thing.
I think it's just cleats. Like, I feel like if you're going to do it, like, you make them into cleats.
I really wanted to buy a pair of the Trouts. I thought they looked sick. But then someone told me that the turf shoes aren't regular shoes. They're like golf shoes with those little things on the bottom.
Oh.
And I'm like, I can't get them. I can't justify that.
That's lame. Some other cool, just random news just around like I say a couple of the leagues, but it's only basketball that I'm about to. It's like literally only basketball. But WNBA, the girl, I forget her name, but she hit the 25 out of 27 threes. Did you see that?
Wow,
and
no, I didn't see that.
She challenged Steph Curry. Oh, I need to find her name real quick as I talk out of my butt. So she hits 25 out of 27 threes and like straight up just goes up and says, "Hey, Curry, 3-point shootout right now." Ionescu. Sabrina Ionescu. She hits 25 out of 27, the record for like all 3 points, including Steph Curry. But then I think like literally like that day or like the next day, Steph Curry hit a hole-in-one in a golf tournament.
That was pretty awesome.
So, I mean, hey.
Man ran down the course like it was the court on a fast break.
Exactly. And then just some other news, like we said earlier, Bronny had some heart condition stuff that was pretty scary, and Bron like was talking about playing with his son. A lot of people thought earlier in free agency that Bron was just going to retire for a year and then come back and play one season with Bronny. I don't think that's happening anymore, but I could totally see Bron doing something in the middle of the year like, yeah, I'm retiring until Bronny plays. I just want to play with my son. But who knows if he's talking about Bronny? He could be talking about Bryce. Yeah. So, I mean, hey, that's what we got for news. This is also all we have here for today on Game Face. Thank you guys for stopping in for our first episode. Make sure to check out some of the other awesome shows here on the Raving Lunatic Media Network. That includes stuff like Sci-Fi Malady, Cold Case Chase, The Janitor, as well as Zodiac Task Force. Go check out all those shows, and we'll see you next time on Game Face.